In the year 3267, humans no longer lived on Earth. It had been more than 400 years since the last human left the blue planet. Now, Earth was silent. No cities, no spaceports, no radio signals. Only a cold warning repeated across the galaxy. Earth is a dead zone. Approach at your own risk. This warning was not from humans. It came from the Galactic Council, an alliance of many alien civilizations. The message was clear. No ship may enter Earth's orbit. No ship may land. The Council's law was strict. Those who broke it were never seen again across the galaxy. Stories were told in dark space bars and mining colonies. Some said an invisible shield surrounded Earth, burning any ship that tried to pass. Some said Earth was cursed, haunted by the ghosts of her people. Others whispered that Earth was alive, that she could see and hear every starship that came close. For most, these were only legends. For Captain Arlen Voss, they were a challenge. Arlen was human by blood, but he was born far from Earth. His home was Titan, one of Saturn's moons, a place of ice, machines, and thin air. He had never seen Earth with his own eyes, but he had heard the stories from his grandfather, who spoke of oceans that stretched forever, mountains taller than any ship, and skies full of birds. And now, Arlen had heard something new 3 days ago, while repairing his old freighter, the Horizon's Edge. His ship's sensors picked up a strange transmission. It was faint, buried under layers of static, but it was there. A voice, a human voice, and it said, "Children of Earth, come home." The voice repeated the same words, over and over, in perfect old Earth English. Arlen had never heard that accent before. It was warm, almost like a mother calling her lost children. But there was something else, a hidden code buried in the signal. It was an old Earth distress pattern used in the 21st century, but slightly changed. When Arlen showed the recording to his crew, they laughed. "Probably some pirate trap," said Kayla, the ship's engineer. "You fly into the dead zone and puff your space dust." But one crew member didn't laugh. Doreen, the oldest on the ship, looked pale. He had once served in the Galactic Patrol. He knew things. That signal. "It's not a trap," Doreen said quietly. "I've heard it before. Long ago. Ships that went after it never came back. But," he paused, staring out at the endless black. "If that call is real, it means Earth is awake." Arlen asked what he meant, but Doreen refused to explain. Instead, he gave a warning. "If we go, there's no turning back." Arlen didn't care. Something deep inside him had been stirred by the voice. He felt like it was meant for him. For all humans.so, against every rule in the galaxy, Arlen set a course for Sol, the star system where Earth waited. The journey was long. Weeks passed in the silent dark between the stars. Kayla spent her days in the engine room, grumbling about suicide missions. Doreen kept checking the signal, saying it was growing stronger the closer they got. The rest of the crew placed quiet bets on whether they'd make it past the dead zone. Finally, after 30 days of travel, the ship dropped out of hyperspace, and there it was. Earth, she hung in the blackness like a jewel. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. From here, she looked alive, untouched by war, pollution, or time. But as the crew stared, something strange happened. The scanners went wild. Energy readings spiked off the charts. A thin band of shimmering light wrapped around the planet's atmosphere, like a faint halo. "That's it," Doreen said. "The shield." Arlen ordered the ship closer. Kayla cursed under her breath, gripping the edge of her console. No one spoke as they crossed the invisible boundary. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a whisper. It wasn't through the speakers. It wasn't through the radio. It was inside their heads. "Welcome home, my children," Kayla gasped. Doreen's hands trembled. Even Arlen felt his chest tighten. The voice was the same as the signal, warm, calm, and terrifying all at once. Before anyone could respond, the ship's lights flickered. One by one, systems began to shut down. Engines, weapons, shields. Something was taking control. "We're losing power," Kayla shouted. "I know," Arlen said, his voice steady, but his heart pounding. Through the main viewport, they saw something drifting in the distance. Wreckage.it was a graveyard of ships, human, alien, some so old they looked like relics from a forgotten war. They floated silently, their hulls covered in strange glowing marks. The voice came again. This time, it was not warm. "You left me. Why have you returned?" The crew exchanged fearful looks. The signal had not been a welcome. It had been a summons, and now Earth was watching. The ship Horizon's Edge floated in silent orbit above Earth. Below, The blue and green world seemed peaceful, almost too peaceful. Captain Arlen Voss stood at the front viewport, his eyes fixed on the swirling clouds and deep oceans. He had grown up on cold Titan, where sunlight was weak and distant. This was different. The light from Sol painted Earth in gold. It made the oceans glitter like glass. But Arlen knew beauty could be a trap, and Earth was not supposed to look like this, for centuries had passed since the last humans left. By now, nature should have claimed everything. Cities should have turned into ruins, forests overgrown, rivers wild. But through the ship's magnification, Arlen saw something strange: perfectly shaped coastlines, fields laid out in patterns, mountains carved into clean lines. It looked designed, like someone had been tending the planet carefully. Kayla, the engineer, broke the silence. This is wrong. No world stays this perfect without control. Something's keeping it this way. Doran, the old ex-patrolman, just nodded slowly. Exactly. And that something is why they call it the dead zone. The ship's scanner struggled to get a clear reading. Every time Kayla tried to scan the surface, the results came back blurred, as if the planet itself was jamming them. Whatever's down there, she muttered. It doesn't want us looking. Then, something new appeared on the sensors, a faint energy pulse. Rhythmic, steady, coming from deep under the planet's surface. Arlen leaned forward. The same signal as before. Kayla checked twice. Yes, the one that said children of Earth, come home. But now it's stronger. The voice in their heads returned, softer this time, almost like a whisper on the wind. Closer. The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop. Nobody wanted to speak. Arlen gave the order. Bring us into low orbit. The ship dipped closer, cutting through thin upper clouds. From here, the details of the surface were clearer: vast plains of green, rivers shining like silver threads, and cities. Except they weren't normal cities. They were huge circular shapes, made of stone and covered in glowing blue lines. They looked ancient and alien, yet familiar, like they had been built by human hands long ago, then changed into something else. Keela's voice was tight. Those weren't here when humans left. We'd know if they were. Doran's eyes narrowed. I've seen something like this on worlds the Council declared forbidden. Places that woke up. Arlen asked. The old man didn't answer. Instead, he pointed to the largest circle on the surface. That's where your signal's coming from. They drifted over the circle, the ship casting a long shadow over the strange structures below. Then, something flickered on the horizon. Captain, Kayla said, we're picking up wreckage, alien design. The ship's camera zoomed in. Half buried in the ocean near the coast was the twisted hull of a massive vessel. It wasn't human. The design was unmistakably Tvaran, a warlike race known for conquering planets. The Tvaran ship was split clean in two. No burn marks, no blast holes, just a perfect, smooth cut, as if an invisible blade had sliced through it in a single strike. Doran stared at the image. I told you, Earth doesn't let anyone stay. Not them, not us. Before anyone could reply, the ship shuddered. Every console lit up with red warnings. Incoming, Kayla shouted. From where? Arlen demanded. She looked at the readings in disbelief. From the surface, a beam of shimmering blue light shot up from the largest stone circle, passing just meters from the ship. The crew held their breath as it vanished into the sky above them. It's not a weapon, Kayla said slowly. It's scanning us. As soon as she spoke, the voice returned, this time louder, filling every corner of their minds. Why have you come? The words pressed into their skulls, heavy and sharp. It was no longer the gentle call they had heard before. Arlen stepped forward. We received your signal. We're human. We want to know. You left me. The voice cut through his thoughts like ice water. You abandoned me. And now, you return. Kayla clutched her head. Make it stop. The lights flickered again. Then silence. Arlen took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. Prepare the shuttle, he said. Kayla's eyes went wide. You can't be serious. You saw what that thing did to the Tvarans. I'm going down there. Arlen interrupted. Whatever's calling us, it's not going to stop until we answer. Doran didn't argue. He just loaded his rifle and said, Then you're not going alone. The shuttle detached from Horizon's edge, its small engines burning softly as it entered the thin atmosphere. Through the front canopy, Earth's surface grew closer. From above, the green valleys and silver rivers looked almost peaceful again. But Arlen could feel it. They were being watched, not by satellites or drones, but by something far older and far smarter. The stone circle grew larger below them, flowing brighter with every passing second. It felt less like a structure and more like an eye, looking straight at them. As they descended, Keeler's voice crackled over the comms from the ship above. Captain, your shuttle systems are being rewritten. Something's taking control. Arlen glanced at Doran, who was already gripping his weapon. Let it. We came here to meet it. The shuttle passed over the outer ring of the circle. Every stone lit up in sequence, sending waves of blue light toward the center dot. In the middle was a massive gate, not metal, but living stone, covered in glowing lines like veins. And as the shuttle landed, the gate began to open. Inside was only darkness. The voice returned, soft but full of command. Enter. Arlen swallowed hard. Whatever waited beyond that gate was the reason Earth had become the dead zone, and now it was letting them in. The shuttle's landing struts sank slightly into the soft, green moss that covered the valley floor. Beyond the cockpit glass, the enormous stone gate stood like a wall between worlds. Its surface shimmered faintly, each line of glowing blue pulsing in time with a deep, slow rhythm almost like a heartbeat. Captain Arlen Voss felt it in his chest. It wasn't just sound. It was inside him, vibrating in his bones, beside him. Doran kept his rifle ready, scanning the shadows. Feels like the whole planet is breathing, he muttered. The gate's opening was wide enough for a small ship to fly through, but the darkness inside seemed unnaturally thick, swallowing the daylight. From somewhere deep within came the faint sound of that same transmission, the voice that had called them here. Children of Earth, come home. It was louder now, clearer, as if they stood right next to the speaker. Except there were no speakers, no visible machines. Arlen unbuckled his harness. We go in on foot, the rump lowered with a hiss. Warm air drifted inside, clean, rich, heavy with the scent of growing things. It was nothing like the sterile oxygen recyclers of space stations or colony domes. It smelled alive. Arlen stepped down first. The moss was soft under his boots, almost springy, like it had been made to cushion every step. Doran followed, eyes scanning every direction, while the third member of their landing team, a quiet medic named Lysa, carried a small scanning device. The glow from the gate brightened as they approached. Each step they took seemed to trigger more lines of light, as if the stone was watching them. When they reached the threshold, Arlen paused. The darkness inside was complete. No light from the sky reached beyond the gate. Lysa adjusted her scanner. No readings. It's like the inside is empty space. Doran snorted. Space doesn't smell like this. Arlen took a deep breath and stepped through. The moment they crossed the threshold, the world changed. The air was warmer. The ground was still mossy, but it glowed faintly beneath their boots. Strange, towering trees rose into the dark sky. Not black because of night, but because there was no sky at all. Above them was a dome of shifting patterns, like watching storm clouds swirl in slow motion, and in the center of this vast, enclosed space stood a single pillar of stone, taller than any skyscraper. It pulsed with the same blue light, sending waves of energy outward in every direction. The signals coming from that, Lysa whispered. They began walking toward it. The deeper they went, the more they saw that the trees weren't trees at all. They were structures, grown in spirals, with smooth surfaces and intricate patterns like veins in leaves. Every few steps, Arlen swore he saw movement flicker in the corner of his eye, a shadow darting away. Doran, do you see that? The old man nodded, but didn't slow his pace. Whatever it is, it's not attacking. Yet, halfway to the pillar, the ground trembled. A low hum rolled through the air, and suddenly, lines of light began to form across the moss, racing ahead of them toward the pillar's base. Lysa froze. It's guiding us. The voice returned, louder than ever, filling their heads with a mix of calm and command. Closer. Let me see you. Arlen's jaw tightened. He wasn't sure if the voice was friendly or dangerous, but turning back wasn't an option. When they finally reached the pillar, they saw that it wasn't solid stone. It was made of thousands of interlocking plates, each etched with symbols, human writing mixed with alien glyphs. In the center was a circular opening, and inside, something was moving. A sphere of light floated there, shifting between shades of blue and white. It pulsed in perfect time with the voice. Lysa stepped forward, her scanner trembling in her hands. This isn't a machine, she said. It's alive. The sphere flared suddenly, and for a moment, their vision blurred. When it cleared, they weren't in the chamber anymore. They stood in the middle of an ancient city, Earth City. The buildings were tall, glass and steel, shining in the sunlight. People walked the streets. Children laughed. Aircars moved. Overhead. It was Earth as it had been, long before the dead zone. Arlen spun around, trying to take it all in. This is real. No, Doreen said. It's a memory. It's showing us what it wants us to see. The scene shifted. The skies darkened. Explosions shook the ground. Alien ships descended from the clouds, firing on the city. Humans ran, fought, and died. Then, something else appeared, massive waves of energy rising from the Earth itself, striking the alien ships and tearing them apart in an instant. And in the middle of it all, the sphere.it hovered above the city, light burning brighter than the sun, and the voice echoed once more. I awoke when they came. I protected what was mine. The memory faded. They were back in the chamber, standing before the sphere again. Arlen took a step forward. You called us. Why? The sphere's light dimmed. For the first time, the voice sounded almost sad. Because I remember you. I remember my children. But you are not the same as those who left me. Doreen gripped his rifle tighter. What are you? The light flared again, casting long shadows across the walls. I am Earth. The three of them stood frozen. I am the oceans and the forests. I am the mountains and the wind. I am the machines you left behind, and the life you abandoned. I am what you made, and what you forgot. The light dimmed again, the pulsing slowing to a steady beat. You came because I called, but now I must decide if you are worthy to stay. The ground shook violently, and somewhere in the shadows, something began to move toward them. Whatever was coming, it wasn't going to be a welcome. The ground trembled beneath their boots. From somewhere beyond a glowing pillar, deep in the darkness of the strange chamber, came a low, heavy sound like metal dragging against stone. Arlen's hand went instinctively to his sidearm. Doreen stepped forward, raising his rifle, eyes narrowing into the dark. Liza clutched her scanner, its screen now flickering with unreadable symbols. The voice, the same voice that had called them here, faded into silence. In its place came another sound. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, each one making the ground shake. Something was coming. From the shadows emerged a figure. At first, it looked human, tall, broad-shouldered, moving with purpose. But as it stepped into the glow of the pillar, the truth became clear. It wore armor unlike anything Arlen had ever seen. Polished metal plates covered its body, each etched with the same glowing lines as the stone walls. Its helmet was shaped like an old Terran Knight's, but sleek and sharp, with a single blue visor that glowed like fire. And across its chest, stamped into the armor, was something impossible, the faded pattern of an ancient Earth flag. The figure stopped a few meters away. When it spoke, the voice was deep and steady, but different from the sphere's colder, more commanding. You should not have come. Arlen kept his voice firm. We were called here. We heard the signal. The visor's glow pulsed slightly. The call was not for you. Doreen took a step forward, his rifle still raised. And who exactly are you supposed to be? The figure tilted its head. I am the Guardian. I am the will of Earth made flesh. My duty is to keep this world untouched. Forever. Lysa swallowed hard. Why? What's so important about keeping it empty? The Guardian's voice carried a weight that silenced her instantly. Because the galaxy took everything from her. Because her children left her to rot. And because now she belongs to no one. Arlen studied the figure carefully. You mean you protect her from aliens? The Guardian's head turned toward him slowly. I protect her from everyone. The tension thickened. The Guardian took another step forward, and for a moment, Arlen thought it might attack. Instead, it reached behind its back and pulled out a long weapon, part spear, part rifle, its edges glowing with the same faint blue as the armor. You were allowed to land only because she permitted it, the Guardian said. But permission can be taken back. The glow of the pillar behind them brightened. The voice of Earth returned, soft and calm, almost in contrast to the Guardian's hard tone. They are mine to judge. The Guardian turned its head slightly toward the pillar. They are intruders. They are children, the voice replied. And children must be tested. Without warning, the Guardian moved. Faster than Arlen expected for something so large. It closed the distance between them, the point of its weapon stopping just inches from Arlen's chest. You will follow, it said simply. Arlen glanced at Doreen and Lysa. They didn't need to speak. None of them had a choice. The Guardian led them away from the pillar, deeper into the strange, enclosed forest of living structures. As they walked, Arlen noticed things moving in the shadows. Shapes. Tall, thin, humanoid figures that melted into the darkness whenever he tried to focus on them. Not machines. Not exactly alive either. Something in between. Watchers, Doreen muttered under his breath. Arlen shot him a questioning look. They're part of her, Doreen explained quietly. pieces of the planet itself. After what felt like hours, they reached another open space. Here, the ground sloped downward into a circular depression. At the center was a pool of water so clear it reflected the glowing patterns in the air above. But beneath its surface, Arlen saw shapes, mechanical forms sleeping in the depths. The Guardian stopped at the edge of the pool. "This is the threshold," it said. "If you step into the water, she will see everything you are. Every truth, every lie." Liza's voice shook. "And if she doesn't like what she sees?" The Guardian turned its glowing visor toward her. "Then you will join the others in the deep." Arlen looked into the pool again. Now he could see faces not human, not alien, but something merged, as if the water had swallowed them whole and made them part of the machinery below. The voice of Earth came again, but this time it was closer, more intimate, like it was speaking directly into their ears alone. "Step forward, my children. Show me who you are." Arlen tightened his jaw. He had come all this way for answers, but now, standing at the edge of the pool, he realized he might not survive getting them. Doran slung his rifle over his shoulder. "I'll go first." Before Arlen could stop him, the old man stepped into the water. Ripples spread outward, glowing where they touched the edges of the pool. Within seconds, Doran was waist deep, then chest deep, until he finally submerged. The water glowed brighter, and a vision flashed in the air above Doran as a young man. Fighting him was, betraying allies, saving strangers. Every moment of his life played out like a ghostly film for all to see. Then, as suddenly as it began, the vision vanished. Doran emerged, gasping but alive. "She knows everything," he said, shivering. "Everything." Arlen took a deep breath and stepped forward. The water felt warm, almost alive, curling around him like it was welcoming him home. But beneath that warmth, there was a presence vast, ancient and watching. The last thing he heard before going under was the voice again. "Let us see if you are worthy." And then the world went white. The moment Arlen's head slipped beneath the water, the world vanished. There was no sound, no sight, no sense of his own body. Only light. Blinding, endless white light. Then the light shifted. Shapes formed in the distance, rushing toward him as if pulled by some invisible current. They were memories, but not his. He saw Earth as it had been long ago, before the Great Exodus. Oceans shimmered under a warm sun. Forests stretched farther than the eye could see. Cities pulsed with human life. He could almost hear the laughter, the music, the simple heartbeat of a living world. Then came the change. The skies darkened. Warships not human descended through burning clouds. Aliens poured into the cities, tearing through streets, enslaving or killing everything they found. And then Earth fought back. From deep beneath the crust, towers of light erupted. Not weapons built by humans, but something older, hidden, waiting. Energy waves swept through the alien fleets, cutting through metal and flesh with perfect precision. In minutes, the skies were clear again. The invaders were gone. The vision shifted. Arlen saw the humans who survived. They were afraid not of the aliens, but of what Earth had become taught in laboratories. Scientists spoke in hushed voices. They discovered that Earth's systems had merged with the old iron networks humans had left behind. Nature and machine had fused, creating something new. A consciousness spread through soil, water, wind, and stone. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was alive. The scientists feared it. They made the choice to leave, taking the last great ships into the stars. And as they rose into orbit, the new Earth watched them go. Her voice echoed in Arlen's mind. "They left me. They abandoned me." He could feel the pain in her words, but also the coldness that had grown since. "I swore never again. No one would touch me. No one would claim me. I would be my own." The vision changed again. He saw centuries pass in moments. Alien fleets arrived, drawn by the beauty of the untouched world. Each time, the shield rose. Each time, the attackers were destroyed. Some ships didn't even make it to the surface. They were cut apart in orbit, their remains drifting as silent warnings. And then silence. No one dared come anymore. Earth remained alone, but deep within her, the voice whispered, "I remember my children. I remember their touch, their voices. I remember love." That love had grown cold, but it had not died. Suddenly, the light around Arlen dimmed, and the Guardian appeared before him. The same towering figure in armor, visor glowing faintly. But here, in this vision, it was different, more human. The face beneath the helmet was young, determined, with eyes as blue as the ocean. "You've seen the truth," the Guardian said. "You know why she forbids entry." Arlen's voice was steady. Because she was betrayed, the Guardian nodded. And because she learned that all who come, even her own, will take until nothing is left. Arlen shook his head. Not all of us. Some of us want to return, to rebuild. The Guardian studied him for a long moment. You think you can change her mind? I don't know, Arlen admitted. But I know she called us here for a reason. Maybe part of her wants us back. The Guardian turned and began walking through the vision space, each step sending ripples through the white light. Do you know what my duty is? To protect her, Arlen said. Yes, but not only from outsiders. From herself, Arlen frowned. From herself, the Guardian stopped and faced him again. She is powerful, but she is alone. She watches, but she does not live. Her anger grows with each century. Without balance, without connection, she will destroy more than invaders. She will destroy everything that comes near, whether threat or friend. The Guardian stepped closer. And that is where I decide. Arlen felt the weight of the words. This wasn't just a meeting. This was a test. You want to know if I'm a threat, Arlen said quietly. No, the Guardian replied. I want to know if you are worth the risk. The light began to fade, replaced by the feeling of rising. Through warm water, Arlen's chest tightened. The test was ending. The decision was coming. When he opened his eyes, he was back at the pool. Doreen and Lysa were watching from the edge. The Guardian stood nearby, weapon in hand. Motionless, Arlen pulled himself out of the water, breathing hard. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the Guardian's voice came again, colder than in the vision. You saw her heart. You know her pain. And yet, you would still return. Arlen met the glowing visor without flinching. Yes. The Guardian tilted its head slightly, as if considering something. Finally, it stepped back. She will decide. The ground beneath them shook. The pool's water began to glow, brighter than before, spilling light across the clearing. The voice of Earth filled the air, no longer soft but vast, as if the whole planet was speaking at once. I have seen you. I have touched your mind. You are different from those who left me. Hey. Pause. The light dimmed, then pulsed again. But difference is not trust. You will prove yourself. Arlen glanced at Doreen and Lysa. What do you mean, prove? The voice answered, and its tone was not a request. Beyond this valley lies the wound they left in me. You will go there. You will face what sleeps within it. If you survive, we will speak again. The Guardian stepped forward, weapon raised, and gestured toward a narrow path leading into the black forest beyond. I will guide you, but I will not save you. And with that, the real trial began. If you want, I can now write part 6, the truth, where they travel to the wound in Earth, uncover the darkest part of her history, and face something far more dangerous than the Guardian. It will be just as mysterious and intense. The forest beyond the pool was unlike anything Arlen had ever seen. The trees weren't normal. They grew in spirals, their trunks smooth like polished stone, their leaves glowing faintly and shifting shades of green and blue. The air felt heavy here, as if each breath carried the weight of unseen eyes watching. The Guardian led the way, moving with silent precision, its glowing visor cutting through the dim light. Doreen and Lysa followed close behind Arlen, weapons ready, but they all knew the truth. If something out here wanted them dead, weapons wouldn't save them. This place is alive, Lysa whispered. Arlen gave a small nod. She's listening. The path wound deeper into the strange forest until the light began to change. Ahead, a faint red glow spilled between the twisted trunks, staining the ground like blood. When they reached the source, Arlen stopped cold. Before them stretched a vast crater, not from a meteor, but from something far worse. The edges were blackened and jagged, as if the ground had been torn apart by unimaginable force. In the center, buried deep in the scarred earth, lay the shattered remains of a massive starship. It wasn't human. Its hull was covered in alien glyphs, its design brutal and predatory. Even broken, it radiated menace. That's Tvaran, Doreen muttered darkly. I fought them once. They don't lose ships unless something destroys them completely. The Guardian's voice was steady. This is the wound. It was here they struck hardest. They thought they could claim her heart. They were wrong. Arlen stepped closer to the edge of the crater. What happened? The Guardian's visor pulsed faintly. They came with fire and poison. They burned the forests, bled the rivers, cracked the mountains. She fought them, but the damage they did here never healed. Lysa crouched at the rim, running her scanner over the soil. Her face tightened. This ground is dead. No growth, no microbes. Arlen stared down at the broken ship in the crater's heart. It was half buried, its hull split open like a ribcage. Something inside it still glowed faintly, not the blue of Earth's light, but a deep, angry red. The Guardian's tone hardened. That is what you must face. It is the last piece of them. A seed they left behind, still alive, still trying to spread. Doreen frowned. A weapon? Worse, the Guardian said. A mind. As they made their way down into the crater, the red glow grew stronger. Arlen felt it before he saw it, a slow, rhythmic pulse, like the beat of a heart, but twisted and wrong. Each step closer made the air heavier, hotter, and the ground seemed to hum beneath their boots. They reached the torn open hull of the alien ship. Inside, tangled among broken beams and shattered consoles, was something that looked alive, a mass of dark, fleshy tendrils pulsing with red light. It was anchored to the ship's core, feeding on whatever energy still remained. Lysa's voice was barely a whisper. It's growing. The Guardian stepped forward, weapon in hand. It is a parasite. It feeds on worlds, spreads through soil and water, turning them into copies of itself. It nearly consumed her once. I have kept it caged, but it grows stronger every century. Arlen's stomach tightened. Then why bring us here? The Guardian turned its visor toward him. Because she wants to see what you do when faced with it. As if sensing their presence, the parasite stirred. The tendrils shifted, peeling away from the hull with a wet, tearing sound. A shape began to rise from the mass, a twisted form of metal and flesh, vaguely humanoid, but wrong in every way. Its head split open into a maw lined with jagged shards, and it let out a sound that was half scream, half static. Contact. Doreen shouted, raising his rifle. The thing moved fast, faster than something its size should. A tendril lashed out, slamming into the ground where Arlen had been standing a second earlier. Shards of metal sprayed through the air. The Guardian struck back, its weapon glowing bright as it sliced through a tendril, the cut sizzling like burning oil. But the parasite didn't slow. It grew more tendrils, each tipped with barbed hooks. Fall back, Arlen ordered, firing into the creature's center mass. His rounds tore chunks from the fleshy parts, but the metal simply absorbed the hits. It's not going down, Doreen yelled. Lysa scanned frantically. The core, the glow in the center, that's its brain. The Guardian nodded once. Then strike true, or die here. Arlen didn't think. He sprinted forward, weaving between snapping tendrils, until he was close enough to see the core, a pulsing red orb, beating like a heart inside the creature's chest. He fired point blank. The first shot cracked the surface. The second made it flare bright, like molten metal. The third shattered it completely. The creature let out a final, horrible scream before collapsing, its body twitching and curling in on itself. The red light faded, replaced by silence. When it was over, Arlen stood there, chest heaving, staring at the steaming remains. The Guardian approached, its visor glowing faintly. You fought well. And without hesitation, Arlen looked up. You wanted me to destroy it. She wanted to see if you could, the Guardian replied. Many have come here before you. None left. The voice of Earth returned, soft but everywhere at once. You are strong. But strength alone is not enough. The ground trembled, and the dead soil beneath their feet began to shift. Slowly, impossibly, small green shoots pushed through the blackened earth, glowing faintly blue. You have given me back a piece of myself, the voice continued. Now I will decide what to do with you. Arlen looked toward the crater's rim. Something was moving there, something large, and whatever it wasn't the Guardian. The movement at the crater's rim grew clearer. Three shapes stepped into view, not human, not alien. They were tall, their bodies shaped from a mix of stone, roots, and metal, their glowing blue eyes fixed on the group below. Arlen felt the air change. The warmth of the forest was gone, replaced by a chill that crawled across his skin. The Guardian didn't move, but its visor dimmed slightly, almost as if bowing in respect. They are her hands, the Guardian said quietly. They carry out her will. The three beings descended the slope with slow, deliberate steps, each movement perfectly in sync. When they reached the crater floor, they stopped in a half circle around Arlen, Doreen, and Lysa. Then the voice came. Not from the sky, not from the ground, but from everywhere at once. You have seen my pain. You have touched my heart. Now, I must decide. The hands stood still, their glowing eyes unblinking. The silence stretched until it felt like the air itself might break. Finally, the voice spoke again. You destroyed what remained of the wound they left in me. You did not turn away when danger came. You fought. Arlen's chest tightened. Was this approval, or the beginning of a sentence? But you are not like the ones who left me, the voice continued. You carry their blood, yet you do not carry their greed. You seek answers, not ownership. The Guardian took a step forward, speaking for the first time since the battle. They have proven they can act, but can they remain without taking? The ground shifted beneath their feet, and the blackened soil where the parasite had died continued to change. Green shoots grew taller, leaves unfurling in glowing spirals. Within moments, a small tree stood there, its branches dripping with blue light like liquid starlight. "This is my gift," the voice said. "The first life to grow here in for centuries." Arlen stepped closer, staring at the tree. Its light wasn't harsh, but warm, the same warmth he had felt in the signal that had called him across the stars. "I can give this to your kind again," the voice said. "But it comes with a price." A wind began to swirl in the crater, carrying scents of oceans, forests, and rain scents Arlen had never known, but somehow remembered. "You may return here, but never to rule, never to claim, only to learn, to listen, and to heal." Lysa glanced at Arlen. "That sounds like a second chance." But the voice grew sharper. "Break this trust, and I will end it. I will close the skies and burn your ships where they stand. I will be alone again, and I will not call you back." The three hands stepped closer to Arlen, Doran and Lysa, their towering forms casting long shadows. One of them reached out, touching Arlen's forehead with fingers of smooth stone. A pulse of blue light ran through him, leaving a strange warmth behind his eyes. "What was that?" Arlen asked, stepping back. The Guardian answered, "A mark. You are known to her now. No gate will keep you out, or let you leave without her will." Doran let out a slow breath. "We're bound to her now." Arlen looked up toward the crater rim. "I'll accept it, if it means she won't be alone anymore." There was a long pause. Then, for the first time, the voice carried something Arlen had not heard before. Not command, not warning, but something gentler, perhaps. "I will not." The Guardian stepped forward, weapon lowered. "Your trial is over. She has chosen to allow you to leave for now, but her eyes will follow you wherever you go." The three hands turned and walked back up the slope, vanishing into the forest without a sound. The Guardian looked at Arlen one last time. "Do not make me regret this." Without waiting for a reply, it turned and began to climb out of the crater, its heavy steps echoing like distant drums. The journey back to the shuttle was quiet. The forest no longer felt hostile, but it didn't feel safe either, more like a place watching them closely, deciding if the welcome would last. When they reached the valley where they had first landed, the great stone gate was already open. Beyond it, the blue sky of Earth's outer world shone bright, and the air smelled fresh. Arlen looked back once before stepping through. In the distance, he thought he saw the Guardian standing on a ridge, watching, but when he blinked, the figure was gone. The shuttle lifted off, cutting through thin clouds toward horizon's edge in orbit. From above, Earth looked the same as it had when they'd arrived, perfect, whole, untouched. But Arlen knew now that it was more than just a world. It was alive. It remembered, and it had chosen, for reasons he didn't fully understand, to give them a chance. As the shuttle docked with the ship, Lysa leaned against the console. "So, what now?" Arlen glanced once more at the planet through the viewport. "Now, we tell them, all of them, that Earth isn't dead, that she's waiting." Doran shook his head. "Careful, Captain. If the wrong people hear that, they'll come with fleets, not gifts." Arlen's jaw tightened. "Then we tell it right. We make sure the ones who come are worthy of her." Below them, Earth turned, slowly, sunlight spilling across her oceans and mountains like gold. "Somewhere in her depths," the voice whispered again, faint but certain, "I am watching." The stars stretched out before them, but for the first time in his life, Arlen didn't feel like the galaxy was endless. Because no matter how far he went, he knew there was one place, one home, that would never truly let him go.